When it comes to part one of the Dallas reunion for season, well, for me it's season 9 though. Season 8, if you don't count Ready to Love Last Resort, the Dallas reunion part one gives you the kind of drama expected, but the stuff you're really looking for, especially regarding Janelle, it seemingly won't come until part two. So to begin, let's start on a lighter note, which is the status of Jessica and Marier. And right now, it seems like they're still dating. Granted, if you go by the backstage commentary, especially from Katarina, it seems a little bit suspect, but as we've been saying this entire season, Maria and Jessica are very cool, calm, and collected, so being overly touchy and all that type of stuff is not their MO. So while it may not look and seem as, what's the word? Intentional as some may want to expect, I feel that this is how they are as people. They don't necessarily need a whole lot of PDA, and at the same time, Jessica, I think, said she's not really into it. So this is just them, and frankly, I'm just glad that somebody made it to the end and seems to be at least dating and on good terms. The second topic deals with Unique and Red getting into it again, and unlike last year when it was the woman who seemingly was having the upper hand when it comes to the back and forth, in this case, neither one of them are looking all that great. Red is still trying to beat a dead horse regarding this whole being told he had a thought job. And then when it comes to Unique, she decides to try to bring up him not being a good father or some other nonsense that really makes you wonder, why did she even take the bait? But on a lighter and better note, her and Marvin did have something going on, seemingly for a little bit. He found somebody else, but it seems like he really opened up the door to Unique exploring the BDSM community, and she seems to be a bit more versed and definitely has an appetite for exploring more. Which gets us into the drama. Habibi's first one out, and his issue, of course, continues to be between Sierra and also Janelle, where pretty much he doesn't pursue any real sort of accountability. His apology is very much, I'm sorry you felt that way, rather than I'm sorry about what I did. And with that, Sierra remains upset. Janelle isn't for it. There's a little talk from Kira and of course Tequila regarding him trying at least, but nobody's really taking it. And Janelle, at one point, she gets so tired of the nonsense that she walks off set. And of course, her baby decides to follow her for some reason, just to really try to get under her skin. And let's just say, increasingly there's a need to ask, why isn't there better security for this show? Because he shouldn't have been able to follow her that far, almost into her room, considering how agitated she was. Never mind the fact that he already presented something which can be considered sexual harassment already. So the lack of protection was kind of messed up. But at the same time, it's a reality show, so I guess if it doesn't cross the line to the point it can get sued or really in trouble, it's good good film, whatever, so you're gonna let it happen. But let it be known, the Habibi thing's just a warm-up, especially for Janelle, because following that is Tequila, and let's just say between Janelle, she was ready. And for some reason, Tommy never caught on to her, like rocking back and forth, which if you ever grew up around people like Tequila, you already know. If they're rocking back and forth, that means they fighting something off. They fighting off that voice in the head that's saying, fuck him up, sis. Yet thankfully, she doesn't do anything. She does get into a little bit of words, but things remain cool on the couch. However, Janelle decides to make a comment about the feathers that Tequila had on. That ruffled things up a little bit, no pun intended. Janelle then decides to ask if Tequila wants to fight or do something, and of course Tequila has been waiting for the invitation, so she starts rocking the table, and of course producers now decide to come out. Not when there was a guy perhaps harassing a woman and all that, but when two girls start to fight, that's when they want to come out. But, priorities. And just as an extra note, especially regarding Katarina, when they focus on her and Tommy's interviewing her with some of the men, she definitely gets on Janelle and Jessica's nerves a little bit, if only for the issue that she makes it very clear that in her mind, and honestly, she's probably right, if she came on in the beginning and didn't come in as like a curveball, she probably would have snatched Quentin. And let's be real, more than likely she is absolutely right, because Quentin, I mean, we haven't gotten to see what's happened between them in part one. That's more so part two, but I'm still betting on him and Janelle not being together in the capacity that she or maybe he was expecting them to be, at least based off of what we saw at the end of the regular part of the season. So get into the review portion. Absolute highlight is the drama, but we've been waiting for this drama for the whole season. We've been seeing the little side comments during the confessionals. We got to hear the microphone as they talk about people only a couple of feet away from them. So now having to confront the situation, it's a wonderful thing. Now, yes, it is unfortunate that people want to bring up stuff that has nothing to do with the show, like Unique bringing up Red being an unattentive father, but at the same time, there's also Habibi, who pretty much is struggling to apologize because he said what he said and he meant to with all his heart. Never mind with Tequila. I want to give Tequila grace because I feel like when Tequila was doing that rocking back and forth, that was her trying to control herself, trying to keep the peace. But as we've seen throughout the whole season, Janelle is very good at going from love, peace, and chicken grease to Newport's Coke. Is it Coke 45s or Coke 60s? Either way, Janelle's very good at going from peace, mother love, if you remember the 90s, to trying to have the same type of daytime TV drama that you see on Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer, etc. And I think she doesn't always fully understand how she's pushing people's buttons, or maybe she does, but she doesn't think it's gonna go as far as it's gonna go. Either way, I'm very much here for the drama, especially because with her and also Jessica sometimes teaming up, and likely them being a factor of like Chris got out of this, which still makes no sense to me. I am hoping to see more. I don't want someone to get physically hurt, but I'm very much here for behind the scenes drama as long as it's leaving people who weren't part of the show out of it. Which brings us to the low points, which I understand that nephew Tommy is a comedian, right? But I have to question, since when I look at the credits for this show, it doesn't say anybody's a writer. So my thing is Tommy writing all these corny ass jokes when it comes to introducing clips and all that? Because if so, maybe they need to hire a writer. The writer's strike just ended. They could hire somebody, right? At least for the next reunion show. Which leads to the last topic, which is just sometimes feeling like the backstage commentary is better than what's said on stage. And that's because, especially for those like Katarina, they're saying what we feel, so we know it's just not us. And granted, I'm glad that the show has really acknowledged this, so rather than having a bunch of people on the couch and then having people behind them sitting, they have them to the side and have a little picture-in-picture so we can get a live reaction. One that doesn't have it where, even though this isn't a live reunion show, which would be so interesting for them to do, but it's never gonna happen. I'm just appreciating that they recognize that it is a highlight, but I don't think they realize it's starting to slowly but surely eclipse what's happening on the couch, especially for those who, similar to Maria and Jessica, recognize that they're on television, so they're not gonna lay all this stuff out, but instead perhaps keep it cute, keep it respectful, or just generally speaking, recognize the fact that you're somebody who's not part of entertainment. You have a whole career outside of the Hollywood media industry, so why would you mess that up, or even mess up somebody who you're cool with for the sake of social media being on your side? But overall, it truly is a damn shame that this is probably the most excited I've been about an episode this season, but that's the way Ready to Love is set up right now. It's set up for you to appreciate the drama, the back and forth, the table shaking. And as for the actual love portion, it's as mundane as what's going on with Jessica Maria, which isn't a terrible thing. We need to have representation for romance that's not like grandeur, but at the same time, you can't just have one extreme and then everything else just be the drama of trying to get a relationship, trying to date, and BS that you think would end in high school, but just carries over into adulthood.